Every good counter-revolution requires a few grisly executions in order to really hammer home the point to the opposition that their shit will no longer be tolerated. And I present to you Concord, the execution of which will be the rough equivalent of suspending a man above a fire ant hill and slathering his balls and anus with honey. And I admit, I do have a certain degree of personal animus towards this title, for no particular reason. It's not like I've played this not very interesting looking thing at all, nor do I have any plans on doing so ever either. And yet, it looks, it sounds, it smells practically, if you will, like exactly the kind of thing that we have been struggling against for the last 20-odd years. And it's impending failure on a scale of which we haven't seen since E.T. is going to be beautiful to behold. I shit you not, this is set up to be a bigger flop than the Suicide Squad. Because this Sony's live service hero shooter, live service as well, so they're planning on this to apparently stick around for a very long time, has been in development for 8 years. Oh God. This thing, I guarantee you, has cost millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. We're probably talking about something along the lines of the average movie budget here, 200 million, if not indeed more, for 8 years of development. Oh boy. And, well, how can I tell so absolutely surely that this is going to be an absolutely hilariously massive failure? Well, even the IGN audience is rejecting it, that's part of it. 73.4% says no on wanting to buy it on IGN, which is probably where their most progressive audience is located. This is where the normies are. This is where the people who have no real frame of reference for the culture war side of this thing exists, and where your actual supporters are also. And yet still, overwhelmingly, no. And worse still, their open beta peaked at 2,388 concurrents. Ooh, boy. Okay. Let's do a little bit of math here then, shall we? So, Concord is releasing tomorrow at a rough equivalent price of $40. There is going to be a regional equivalent to that, of course. In most places, it's probably going to be significantly less, but let us assume that it's going to launch at $40. Okay, let's say that every one of these 2,388 people was so enthralled with the game, they elected to pre-order it. Very well. That's about, what, 95,000? Right, so less than $100,000. Let's round that up, and let's also assume that the concurrent obviously isn't fully representative of the total player number. So let's double it. $200,000 for a game that's been in development for 8 years. Oh boy. A game, incidentally, whose characters look like this. This is the second point where I can pretty much guarantee the game's failure. Those incredibly low concurrent player numbers, yeah, this is the reason for that. I mean, look at this character design. Holy hell. I have not seen something this horrifying since I looked up the rape statistics in England and Sweden. My God. This geriatric chick, at least she put on makeup, I guess, in contrast to the other female characters. That's something. Oh, never mind. That one slathered some Smurf jizz over her face. I'm not entirely sure, honestly. The purple lipstick. This is just brilliant. This is an 8 years in development video game, which I want to point out here. That would mean that this started development round about the same time as Overwatch came out and became, of course, a huge splash on the market right then. So In other words, Sony saw Overwatch and thought to themselves, oh wow, that's amazing. We want a slice of that pie. Let's start working on our own variant of Overwatch. Well, this is what Sony has produced after 8 years, and correct me if I am wrong here, but I would go so far as to venture a hypothesis to explain the success of Overwatch. Partially, that was of course the fact that it was actually a bit fun for a while there, until they started balancing it more for the esports milieu, rather than the 98% of people who actually played the damn video game, but more importantly, I think, was the fact that the character design lent itself very well to a certain segment of the internet, as there probably exists more Rule 34 of the Overwatch girls, and in some cases the men as well, than of, well, the entirety of DC and Marvel combined. They were a remarkable success in the porn world. And when Blizzard saw that, what did they think? Did they think, damn, right, we've nailed the character design on this one, let's double down on it in the future? No. They thought to themselves, oh, icky, we've got to make it so that nobody can use our models for this in the future. Ugh. Listen. If you're popular, get more popular, not less. A lesson that Sony can probably learn. I mean, the closest thing we have here to a mildly attractive female character is the fish elf. I mean, at least she doesn't possess the man jaw. At least she doesn't possess the geriatric face of whatever this is, or this actually 80-year-old woman with, what even is that? A rotating barrel Sten gun? I do not understand. Or Big Bertha over here. I bet you that's even her name. Good God. This might just be the thing that actually ends Sony. I know. So Sony's been doing some rounds of layoffs lately. I think they fired about 1,000 people odd a few months ago. They've been planning further layoffs ever since. And this is a studio killer. So, amusingly enough, though, I believe in this article here, they mentioned that they were going to continue to support it for years. Can I find it off the top of my head? Probably can't. But they mention in here, somewhere, trust me, that they were a little bit concerned about the player numbers, as they goddamn should be, but they still had the backing of Sony for years of content. Now, this does make a certain degree of sense, and which is just fun because it's just going to make the hole deeper. We've seen this with Suicide Squad, Killed the Justice League as well, where they continue to release season passes for the game. Why? Well, probably because they've already signed a contract, the developer with the publisher, to support the game for so and so long. The plans have already been made, the people have already been in essence paid, and at this point, well, the only thing they can really do is keep pushing it, hoping to regain at least some tiny sliver of their original investment. And if this game was planned 8 years ago with the intent to replicate the success of Overwatch, it would not surprise me in the slightest if both sides were locked into a long-term agreement here. Which of course is just going to be one enormous hole in the bottom of the Sony boat, gushing out unfathomable quantities of money as, well, probably dozens upon dozens of people at the very least will continue to cash a paycheck for this for another half decade. I love live service games because they inflict damage upon studios, the likes of which we have never before seen. If this was a single-player game, a one-off thing that would flop for to the tune of a couple $100 million, then at least the company could go like, okay, right, that didn't work. Write it off on the taxes, move on and make something else. But as a live service game, well, shit. You're going to have to keep flushing millions down the toilet for years now. I don't see the complaint about live service games, honestly. I think it's a fantastic way to absolutely cripple the fuck out of companies. Oh boy, I am I am looking forward to this. I really am. Because the Suicide Squad, see, that was a warning shot, right? That was the flare going up in the video game industry going, boom, look, this is not a good idea. You shouldn't probably actually kill off people's favorite characters in favor for a bunch of D-lister villains. It's not very wise. Then the Acolyte came in as the second confirmative shot across all of this. It's called like, oh hey, here's the confirmation. This doesn't work anymore. The DEI woke as garbage. It has actually become so thoroughly poisonous that even coming within a mile's distance of it is going to make your skin peel off your bones. Probably don't. And Concord is going to be the piece de resistance. It is going to be the final little mercy stroke, really, that will send ripples through the entire industry, hammering home the point once and for all with absolutely no hint of doubt whatsoever. The final 10-ton hammer to the head of the remarkably dense CEOs of gaming and entertainment in general that the era of woke nonsense is over. If it ever even truly existed, it is now not merely past, but engaging with it is a death sentence. And I could not be happier. I'm not tired of winning yet, chat. How about you? Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and have a very, very good day imagining the mountains of cash Sony is going to be losing over this.